You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to the show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Today on our Motivation and Mindset Monday, I kind of teased it yesterday on the Cabral House Call. We're just going to talk to you about how you can possibly increase your happiness without really doing any more. I mean, that's the funny thing is sometimes not always doing more does increase happiness. Sometimes doing more increases stress. So what I want to talk about today is how we can truly increase happiness by reframing our expectations. So you've kind of heard me share my story before of how I wasn't getting well. Like I was sick for many years and I simply was not getting better, meaning like I would think that I was getting better and then I would relapse. And then I would think I was getting better and then I would relapse. And then the winter would come, and winter to me is like my kryptonite. I would get sinus infection after sinus infection. Literally, I would get a sinus infection. I would go on antibiotics. I would get better for 1 week. I would then relapse and get another sinus infection. Clearly, the antibiotics were not the answer, but it's all I had. And so that led to a pretty, brutal mindset where I just didn't believe I was ever going to get better because I had seen no progress. I thought I would see progress. And then, sometimes it's even worse. You get some results and then you relapse again. And you're like, wow, I knew what it felt like to feel pretty good for a few minutes or a few days or a few weeks. And now I'm back to this again. It's almost too much of a tease. I'd almost rather just stay in this state. So what I said to myself was this. I was young, right? I was 17, 18, 19, going in my college years as well. I still suffered during my college years as well. But, I started to get a little better. What I said to myself, I remember one night, it was a particularly bad night. I was having some particularly poor thoughts about my overall life and my overall health. And, it was dark. It was not a very good night. We'll put it that way. I won't get too deep into it right now. But what I said to myself was this, you are most likely going to have to deal with this maybe for the rest of your life. But what you need to do is you need to make the decision about how you're going to live your life. And you've seen this, what I said to myself, you've seen some progress, meaning like you've had glimmers of hope that you could get well. So in my mind, what I was saying to myself is you're probably on the right track, but you're not there yet. And I was talking to myself, the impatient part of me that wants to get better right away. And so although I was not improving as fast as I would like to, I was at least getting well for a week or 2 weeks at a time, where before I was never well. I couldn't, I could barely get out of bed. My glands were swollen and I was so tired. Like a lot of people talk about being tired or fatigued. Keep in mind the type of chronic fatigue immunodeficiency syndrome that I had, the really tough part. And again, that was just one part of the overall complex because chronic fatigue is a symptom of other things. It's not the thing itself. Is that I was so tired that I literally wouldn't talk. I would sit at my dinner table and just not talk because the thought of talking, like I would actually to think about creating words, that was the deepest level of exhaustion that I was at. So when I started to get better, I could look back at that and say, well, I've made some progress. I can speak now. I can attend class. I'm doing a little bit better. So what I started to get at is that I needed to reframe my whole mindset. I needed to say to myself, you know what? Even if I'm not going to get fully better, I probably will continue to improve little by little, but that's not going to happen tomorrow, right? So I always wanted to get better tomorrow. I wanted to wake up the next day and be better that next day, and that next day never came. So what I had done was I actually created unrealistic expectations for myself because there was no health practitioner that was saying to me, no, you could be better tomorrow. And there's no health practitioner that could actually say, we know what's wrong with you and you're going to get better. I'm going to help you. So because of that, it was unrealistic for me to ever say to myself, you're going to be better tomorrow, you're going to be fully recovered, all of those things. So what I did was I accepted that. I accepted that I was not going to get better the next day or even the next week. All I said to myself is that I'm going to hopefully continue to improve. I don't even know by how much, but I know that if I'm feeling a little bit better now, hopefully in a few months I'll feel a little bit better then. Hopefully in a few months that I will maybe still get sick, but I won't relapse as quickly. Maybe I'll have a month between sinus infections and chest congestion and pneumonia, because I used to get pneumonia all the time, rather than every week or 2 weeks, right? So that's how I started to look at it. And I'll tell you right now that when I reframed it like that, it was actually very liberating. So what I did was I let myself off the hook. I stopped being the person that needed to make things happen tomorrow. When I told myself that not only was it not going to happen tomorrow, I always kept myself open to the possibility, but I said, you know what, probably not going to happen tomorrow, and that's okay. I then got to relax for the first time in my life since I had gotten sick. I said, all I'm going to do is continue to read the books that I've been reading. I'm going to go from reading, let's just say 3 or 4 books a week to maybe taking that up even another notch, because this is what I would do at night when I would get home from work, or get it even while I was during school and college too. I would read, and that's all I would do is read books. Remember, when I was going to school in college, the internet was just kind of coming about. There was dial-up, and it wasn't even worth getting online. If a lot of you remember how frustrating it was to take like 20 minutes to start up your computer and your AOL online. So what I did was I just read. And reading in and of itself, I just started to take notes. And it was kind of like the start to my practice, is I would have these journals on how to get well. And again, that really, the relaxation part of the process, though, it allowed me to breathe. That stress then allowed my immune system to better regulate. Because when you're in the fight or flight response, you can't heal. I didn't know that till about a decade later, that the majority of illnesses, issues, diseases, whatever you want to call it right now, are stress-induced, or stress is such a large part of it. What happens is we get arterial constriction. We get into the fight or flight mode. We produce larger amounts of cortisol, large amounts of adrenaline or norepinephrine. This weakens our immune system. Secretory IgA starts to go down. Remember, this is a whole immune cascade. It's actually defined as something called pathophysiology. It is part of the disease process. It is taught in both conventional medicine and natural medicine. However, for whatever reason, when a lot of people get out of school, they just totally forget about it. They disregard it, and they don't understand how the endocrine system actually affects the whole body. That was my first step to getting well. Once I did that, all of a sudden, I started to make leaps and bounds for no other reason except that I gave myself a chance to breathe. And you need to do the same exact thing. Your goal might not be wellness. Might not be weight loss, but it might be career. It might be family. It might be relationships. Maybe you can't find the right person for you. Let yourself breathe. It's not going to happen tomorrow. Maybe it will, but most likely not. And that's okay. That's the best part about it. Because I'll tell you this, if you give yourself 3 to 6 months to succeed, I guarantee you, I'm telling you, if you move in that direction, but you say, I don't need to accomplish it today, but you give yourself, you know what, I do want to accomplish it. I'm not just going to allow, the world to just say, it's going to come right to me. No, you're going to go after it still, but you're going to do it with a more relaxed state. And you're going to say, in the next 3 to 6 months, I'm going to make massive progress. And you're going to have markers to check for that. Like for me, going through a winter without getting pneumonia would be a huge plus. And so that was one of my markers. Going more than 4 weeks without getting a sinus infection would be a huge improvement during the winter. Going through the spring without massive seasonal allergies where I couldn't even keep my eyes open because they were literally swollen shut. You've never seen someone with allergies like I've had. Brutal. And so when I could make it through the season with just maybe itchy eyes, that's a huge improvement. So again, you're looking for these markers. And I just want to give you an example so that hopefully this kind of ties things together. So when I have someone come in and, they've worked with a lot of other people and they still can't lose weight, what we do is we look also for what's going on with their metabolism in general, right? So a lot of times we find is that they have Hashimoto's, or they have low thyroid function, hypothyroid, or they have something wrong with the adrenals as well. So what I say to them is this. You've been trying to lose weight for a long time. I'm going to help you lose weight, but how I'm going to do that is I'm going to help you get your body fully rebalanced and healthy first. I'm going to look at your endocrine system. I'm going to look at how your cortisol levels and your norepinephrine, your adrenaline, DHEA, progesterone, estrogen all play into shutting down your HPT axis, which is your hypothalamus pituitary thyroid axis, causing you to not produce the amount of T4, T3, T3 or being shunted towards reverse T3. I'm going to help you correct that so that when I help you correct this, that you get to keep the weight off for the rest of your life. I know that you want to lose it tomorrow. I understand that. But remember, you didn't gain this weight overnight. It probably took you months or years, and I don't want you to try to lose it overnight. If you do the Dr. Cabral detox, you've heard me say before, yes, you're going to lose weight. You're going to lose 5 to 10 pounds your first week. You're going to lose up to about 10 pounds or so in the 14-day detox, and you're going to lose 15 pounds or more for the 21-day detox. You can use it for wellness. You can use it for weight loss. However, that's just for overall great health and weight loss. But if you actually have Hashimoto's, if you have low thyroid, I want to help you correct that as well. I don't want it to be that you doing this great plan and then not having it stick as much as you would like. So I'm going to look at the adrenals. I'm going to look at the thyroid. I'm going to look at your mineral levels. I'm going to make sure that you don't have higher levels of cadmium or bromides that could be affecting your thyroid, that you don't have high levels of fluoride. Remember, fluoride and iodine compete. When fluoride makes it to the thyroid, it's a halogen, just like iodine's a halogen, and it blocks iodine. Well, the fluoride kills thyroid cells and iodine nourishes thyroid cells. You need to make sure that's balanced as well. So once I help you with that, then you are rebalanced. Then the weight comes off effortlessly, and you and I don't have to talk about counting calories. You and I don't have to talk about which exercise protocol you're doing, because any one of them can be great, right? So what we're talking about is a long-term solution to keeping the weight off. How long would that take? For someone with real Hashimoto's, like true Hashimoto's, not Hashimoto's, just not low thyroid, it's going to take about 4 to 6 months. That's somewhere around 16 weeks or so. Does it just happen at the 4 to 6 month period? No. You're going to start to see results over the first 21 days and then a little bit more each and every week. But what I'm saying is you want to wait for all of those red blood cells to turn over after the 120 days. And you want to start for that body to start getting stronger and stronger and stronger. So if you're someone that's dealing with low thyroid, that's dealing with metabolism-based issues, that's dealing with hormone-based dysfunction, and you're trying to lose weight or you have excess cellulite, well, the bottom line is you need to get to those underlying root causes, and you need to give yourself a break. I mean, I know you're being hard on yourself, probably too hard on yourself, because no one maybe has shared this information with you. Maybe this is your first time hearing it. And if it's your first time hearing it, how can you be at fault? You didn't know the information before. I was mad at myself for many years for not getting well. Like I should have known. I should have known this is what it was. I should have found someone in functional medicine and natural health sooner. They would have helped me shorten this timeline. But the truth is this. I learned so much over the 5-6 years of struggle before I really got well that I read just within that 5 years well over 1,000 books. So I would never have done that and then gone on to read a couple thousand more had I not developed that passion for reading, that passion for learning that I would never get in school. Keep in mind, I've done the whole schooling thing, and schooling was never really an issue for me. Some people have it, and some people just aren't as good at it. It is what it is. We all have different skill sets in life. I don't make music. I can't sing. I'm the worst in the world, right? But what I can do is I can read, and I can retain that information. It's like my one thing. So everyone has to just kind of find their one thing. But that's how I found it. And a lot of times when we go through these hardships, when we go through these journeys, it's kind of like, I don't know if it's calling or not. I don't know. But if we can find out what that silver lining is, if we can use that education to heal our body, well, then guess what? When you have children one day and they might be prone to the same things, you help them out. You start to learn about fluoride. You start to learn about GMOs. You start to learn about heavy metals. You start to learn about chlorine. And you understand how all of those things affect the thyroid or affect other parts of your body as well. You're so much healthier for it, but then guess what? You just handed that down to the next generation, and you pass it on to your friends and your family and your coworkers. Just because, keep in mind, the information that I just passed on to you is not my information. I assimilate it. It's my job to read as many books, as many articles, as much research as possible. I don't do the actual research. Have I run focus groups, when I was developing certain products? Yes. I am not the scientist in a lab. I am a practitioner who meets with people. That's what I enjoy doing. I use the research to my advantage, and I thank and I give gratitude to the amazing scientists who their gift is literally sitting in a lab for 12 hours a day figuring all this stuff out. I could never do that. I can't sit still in a lab for 12 hours. That would be really bad for me. So What I'm saying is this. I want to wrap up right now. I want to let you know this, that whatever you're going through right now, the only reason you haven't figured it out is because of a lack of information. That's it. So your job is to say, I don't have the information, and that's the only reason why I haven't gotten well, lost the weight, or I'm dealing with whatever type of financial, relationship, career-based issue I'm dealing with. That's it. That's the only reason, because if you had it, I'm telling you, it would give you the motivation, the energy, the passion to move forward, because you would see the excitement. You'd see the possibilities start to open up. So that's the only reason you don't have it. So that's why you haven't achieved your goal, and that's why you're not going to achieve it tomorrow. So now your goal over the next 90 days or so, 90 days is always a nice plan because it's not too long, it's not too short, it's enough to make progress over those 12 weeks. There's a reason why my protocols are basically 12 weeks. You get great results, and you see results, and that motivates you then keep going after that, right? You don't stop, you keep going. You create your highest potential. Remember, you create it inside of you, no one else. No one else is going to hand you it. It's up to you to create that potential. So now your job is this. Whatever you're dealing with right now, seek out a practitioner. Can't afford the practitioner, seek out the nutritional supplements. Can't afford the nutritional supplements, seek out the books, the food that you can read, because I know that you can read a $10 book, and I know that you can start to eat better, that you can start to exercise, even if it's just you're at your own home. So start to seek that out, start to learn that, start to understand that, and then what I say is this, you just put one foot in front of the other. That is the only way that I recovered. So, I had this thought that I might never recover. That was the truth. Even until I was better, I was feeling great, I was a functioning human, feeling phenomenal. But for whatever reason, I still had 10% more to go, even about, let's say, 6 or 7 years ago. I figured it out. I made those final tweaks. I looked deep into my genetics. I realized what I was prone to. I fixed that. Once I fixed it, that was it. I started to do more detoxification. I started to learn so many more things. Every year is better than the last. I'm telling you that right now. I'm not saying that for any particular reason because I'm my own person. You have your own things going on. I have mine. I am better than I was at 17. I can tell you that right now. I feel better now than I did at 17 years old. Better than 16 years old, better than 15 years old. I have more energy. My mental clarity is higher than it's ever been. And that shouldn't be that way, except that it can be. Only the media, only conventional medicine, only all of these standards that have been put on us on how we should age they're a figment of our imagination. At any time we can decide that's not the truth, and then we can push forward, we can move forward. And I'm telling you, as long as you let yourself off the hook, you relax, you breathe, you appreciate, you give gratitude, then you decide to move forward, you'll achieve your goals. You really will. I have no doubt about that. So what I want you to do right now is just use that. Don't just listen to this, but use it now. Pick one thing that you're going to do this week. It's a Monday. What are you going to do this week? Which book are you going to purchase? What plan are you going to follow? What practitioner are you going to see? What are you going to do to move forward? If it's relationship-wise, what are you going to do? Meaning like reaching out to friends. Do you know they know anyone? Do online, like set up that account, whatever it might be. What is that one thing? Career-wise, what is it that people above you career-wise have that you don't have? Why were they promoted? Why are they in that position that you don't have? Narrow those things down. Think about those over a week. Remember, we have time. Everything's good. Everything's good. We have time. Think about what it is that you're lacking. What don't you have? Then start to work on that. Get the education you need. Go to night school if you need to. Take additional online courses. Whatever it might be, that's what's going to move you forward. But it's always about learning what it is that you need to know to take yourself to that next level. So hopefully this helps. Hopefully it does help to increase happiness when you begin to reframe expectations. Thank you, everyone, for listening to another Cabral Concepts, and I hope that you'll pass this message on to anyone in need. Did you know that the body really only becomes sick or imbalanced in only 2 ways? Over time, you become deficient in vital nutrients, and you also accumulate toxins internally and from the environment. As those nutrients diminish and you increase your total toxic load, your body then begins to show the first signs of dis-ease. It's actually quite predictable, and the good news is that if we know how you began to fill up that proverbial rain barrel, we also know how to empty it to begin the healing process. I was fortunate enough to learn this ancient healing process from my mentor after suffering from debilitating diseases for close to a decade. It was only when I began to implement these techniques did I finally overcome my illnesses and go on to live a life of energy and vitality that I now enjoy. I'd like to share with you now what I discovered after traveling all over the world and how to combine the best of ancient healing wisdom with state-of-the-art science. Allow me to teach you exactly how I've been able to help over 250,000 people to empty their rain barrel and begin to transform their body and lives into what they've always hoped they could be. To get your copy of the international bestseller, The Rain Barrel Effect, simply go to stephencabral.com/rainbarrel.